Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, you're a Browns fan. Well, I never had any respect for you, but now I have zero. Basically, what you just said. You still got that cough? What's wrong with you?
I'm dying, man. I had a bloody nose before you got on here.
Real?
Yeah.
Got the HIV.
I'm probably dying of one of these things that I picked.
Yeah. Nobody
All right.
got lung on their list. Be a pretty bad way to die, wouldn't it?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get these out while you're on.
Surprised that nobody's list included getting over by a steamroller from the feet first.
I thought about it, honestly.
That'd be a terrible way to go, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I thought
pop
about
your
it,
head
too.
off like a zit.
Then I realized this isn't Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh. Let's go ahead and do the damn thing. Welcome to the Debate with Quaid. I'm your host, Quaid. I am joined by the same two meat whistles, Nick and Adam. We have a topic for the ages once again. I'd like to remind you to find us and follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook. We have a website now. We got all kinds of cool shit happening. We're coming off a win for Nick. Oh my goodness, I haven't been able to say that for a while. Nick, how do you feel coming off the victory last week?
Well, you know, I'm not really feeling much of the victory last week because my focus is on this week. So the thing is, we've been master debating a lot. I mean, a lot these past 3 months. And tonight it's about to blow. It's about to get real.
Goodness, I don't know what to say about that. Adam, do you have anything to say about that? How you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good. I'm worried now. I don't know what Nick's bringing to the table tonight. Sounds gross, though.
Well, I can tell you, I'm confident that both of you are going to bring some really fucked up stuff to the table tonight. Our topic for this evening is the top 10 worst ways to die.
Yes,
So,
it is.
You, as a defending winner last week, go ahead and present your list of 10 in no particular order.
All right. See, here's the one thing I'd like to say before I give you my list of 10 is tonight I'm going to be a painter. I'm going to be painting a picture for you. So just keep that in mind as I run through these. So number 10, autoerotic asphyxiation. Number 9, being eaten by rats. Number 8, having a heart attack after winning the lotto. Number 7, getting stabbed by your wife. 6, car crash on your way home from work. 5, death by thirst. Number 4, getting the old Jeffrey Dahmer. And number 3, hanging. 2 is, you know, like that old medieval weapon, the spiked ball. And number 1, cop killed on duty right before breaking a big case.
I feel like there's some explanations that need to take place, and we're going to save those for the debate portion. Adam, let's hear your 10.
All right. No particular order here. Mauled by a bear, buried alive, cancer, sexual related. So I had one up my sleeve, but it's pretty similar to Nick's auto asphyxiation. So that may end up being a matcher. Crush. What's
argument.
that? Yeah, or a good argument. I have crushed by the depths of the ocean. I have a little thing, a little scenario for that one too. Dying basically adrift at sea, freeze to death, dragged to death, eaten by piranhas in an avalanche.
I would say this, Adam, with your list, there's a few on that I think most people, including myself, have thought about before, and they would be terrifying to die that way.
Yeah.
There's a couple that did not make either one of your lists that I was very surprised by. Drowning didn't make a list, which I think would be absolutely terrifying. Adam, you kind of sort of touched on it. Also, burning up fire didn't make a list, which I think would be terrifying. And also getting run over by a steamroller from the feet first did not make a list, which I cannot believe.
That would be awful.
Nick.
Yeah. The buzzsaw right up the crotch, you know.
Ooh.
If you want to get into cartoons, there's a lot of ways.
I wasn't getting into cartoons, but now that you started it, let's go. All right. You have the opportunity to either present your first one for argument or kick it off to Adam and let him present one.
I would like to ask Adam to present.
Adam, the floor.
All right.
Present.
So, well, I'll say this. This would probably be the one that I would hate the most. And that would be being eaten by piranhas. Okay. Now, there was actually a bus, I think it was in Brazil. It wrecked into a river full of people. Now, the people were alive, but the bus was filling with water. They're having trouble getting out. And because of their panic and commotion in the water, an entire school of piranhas attacked them and ate like half of the bus, ate them down to the bone. And they're like in the bus screaming and getting eaten apart. That had to be one of the most horrific things maybe ever on this planet. That is disgusting. So eaten by piranhas has to be, I mean, they're little bites, but there's a lot of them, like millions of little bites.
All right, Nick, what do you have to put up against getting eaten by piranhas?
I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna go bite for bite on this one. I'm gonna say eaten by rats.
Okay.
There was some call him a serial killer. He was a hitman, the greatest hitman of the mob, the Iceman. One of his tactics that he used, there was a dude that was messing around with one of the mafioso's boss's daughter. And when the boss asked, hey, what are you doing with my daughter? He's like, oh, just having fun. Thing you don't really say to a mafioso's, Yeah. Anyway, so the boss asked this guy, the Iceman, hey, I want you to make him suffer. So what he did was he dragged him to a cave. He wrapped his arms, the meaty part of his arms, meaty part of his legs, and his nutsack with rawhide. And then he threw him into the cave with rats after, feeding him a little and making sure he couldn't get out. And then the rawhide, obviously, once it dries, it kind of hardens up. Also, the rats get the smell, so they come in and they're starting to eat this dude. And they're eating him from the fucking nuts and everything else first. The cheeks first, because they know exactly where all the tender parts are. And they just eat this dude for weeks until he comes back, looks, and he got just a bunch of full, happy rats and a skeleton.
Okay.
Adam, do you have anything that you want to say that will make us want to puke also?
Okay, first off, if you're a real man, you don't have to worry about rats. You ever see Rambo? They put a sack of rats over his head and he fucking chewed their heads off. So, I mean, if you're a real dude, there's no fucking way those rats would kill you. So, that's my defense. Yeah, sure. He ate that guy's balls, but I don't know. I never heard that story.
You gonna call the soldiers in World War I pussies? They got eaten by rats all the time. That was a common occurrence.
Yeah, but usually they were dead first. But
not all.
Well, Yeah, I know a lot about that guy, the Iceman, but I don't ever remember hearing that story. I feel like this is another one of Nick's made up stories.
No, it's all true. It's documented.
But anyways, in my opinion, do you ever see the teeth on a piranha? They're like daggers, and they're tiny little mouths. Oh my gosh, just chewing you like you're from your toes all the way up. And then you're sitting there trying to keep your head above water, and they're just eating you alive. I mean, come on, that's terrible. Guts are spilling out. Other piranhas are eating those. Oof.
All right. Here's the thing. When I went down to old Mexico, I put my feet in a aquarium with a bunch of little fish. They came, they ate the dead skin off.
Poor fish.
And it tickled. It felt great. It felt great. It was like a massage. It ain't gonna be a massage when a rat takes a bite out of your heel.
Those are different kind of fish, though.
A fish is a fish, man.
Yeah, I think you're saying so that little fish that was chewing on your feet is the same as a fucking great white.
In the eyes of the Lord,
I think. Since I'm the next closest thing that you'll ever get to be with the Lord, I am his son. And I can walk on water, and I can also pick the best debater in round one. And it has to go to Nick for doing his homework and telling a story, whether it's true or not. It sounded very believable. I hope it's not make-believe, because I'm going to look it up. And if I find out that it was not true, you'll be completely disqualified from doing this show for 1 month. But for now, round one goes to Nick.
Okay, for that source material, I used the last podcast on the left. So,
hey, my busload story is legit too. That's a true story. That's a whole busload of people.
It's a bad story. No, jeez. I
told you, I was painting some pictures today. I've come to paint, boys. Just call me Michelangelo.
All right, Angelo, you're up for round two. You have to introduce one right now.
All right, so I'm thinking. All right, so imagine this. Again, I'm a painter. I'm painting a picture.
I can already tell it's going to get old tonight, but go ahead.
So you're a cop. You've been working on this case for years. And I tell you what, every single lead has dried up. But like you're going on gut instinct. You've been part of the force for 30 years. I mean, you've been at it for a super long time. You have every instinct a cop could have. And you go off this instinct. Nobody believes you except your rookie partner. And you take it, you take this lead to far ends, and it goes somewhere. And you start to break the case, and you're really getting things going. Then all of a sudden, you know, you're about to bust the gang when you go to the airport to bust them while they're loading up the plane. And your partner's up front, you know, and he's trying to talk some sense into the guy. And you got a gun drawn. And somebody comes up behind you and just blows 2 holes in your back with a freaking shotgun. And then you die not knowing if your partner is gonna, you know, live, die. Is the guy gonna get to Mexico with all the money, or your partner's girlfriend? Is Rosie gonna cut his head off? You just don't know.
Oh fuck!
I don't know. What's so funny?
Nothing.
He's amazing as a storyteller. Is it my turn yet?
Would you like to make a reference of what it's about, or you just want to leave it at that?
I'm going to save it for your rebuttal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess before Nick just tells more stories. I guess I'll pick one of mine. Another thing that I would hate to happen.
Nose? Why you picking your nose?
No, sorry, I have a bloody nose, man. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't run all over my whole face while I'm on this YouTube video. But yeah. So like, you ever watch? I've watched a bunch of documentaries about it, and I guess there's some movies about it. But just recently, this past week, I watched about like these basically mountain climbers. Okay, they go to Mount Everest. I mean, they're all idiots in my opinion. They spend all this money to make these poor guys from Nepal carry their shit up a mountain, basically, so they can hold up some sign. I don't know, but there's like dozens and dozens of bodies like along the way, and these people, what happens is they start getting tired, and then they sit down, and then they can't ever get back up, and they just leave them there, and those people just sit there for hours. Like, they have found people, like other groups would come down, they like leave these like guys behind who are like literally dying, and they're freezing to death. And then some of them, they would find them and they would bring them down, and some of them have been saved. And then they talk about how terrible it was when you're up there freezing. They have to have all their hands and their feet chopped off, and how painful it was at the time. Just imagine if that continued and you didn't survive, and then your whole body froze like that. To me, that would be like the worst. I mean, you ever get that feeling when you have your feet frozen? Like, you know, you go skiing or something, it's really super cold, and your feet feel like blocks of ice. That's like one of the worst feelings. Just imagine your whole body getting that way. Seems terrible to me.
I'm not gonna lie, that I think that would be awful.
Like your ears
you know,
falling
these
off.
people like, yeah, but these people that go up to like Everest and stuff, they become like landmarks. You mean something.
Mm-hmm.
This poor guy, this cop, I mean, just some random cop, but I mean, any cop in this case, you know, he dies before the case gets broke. His partner, if he breaks the case, he gets all the accolades. And what's he do? He lets the perp go and then throws his badge into the ocean.
So you're saying that, like, this guy who got killed the worst way you could possibly die, the guy, he was just about to solve a case, and his partner
Just about.
let the guys go who killed him. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, it happened. I don't know. Maybe he didn't have jurisdiction because it was in Australia. I mean, hypothetically.
Is this a point reference? It is.
It might be the Gary Busey story in Point Break.
It is, isn't it? God damn it.
Blame Nick. I had nothing to do with this.
That makes me so mad. That's really what you're talking about. Idiot. Don't talk about fucking point on this show. I want to hear it, myself included.
Like, it took me like 2 minutes of Nick telling this story for me to realize what it took you even longer, but it's like ridiculous.
So dumb. So dumb. Nick, you might not be invited back next week or the next after that. You got to get in contact or something. Go on a Point Break rehab mission or something. So without any further discussion, Adam wins round 2 based off of nothing else other than the fact that, Nick, you're a fucking asshole.
Dude, when you said your list, I had no clue why you would have that. Oh, it's so specific on there. It's so weird. Now it makes all the sense in the world.
Now it makes 0 sense in the world. You're up for the next round. What do you got? I hope it's something better than that.
Okay, maybe we could do something, against each other here, unless you want to consider these the same. I have sex-related death. So,
before you say anything else, are you willing to do your asphyxiation argument against this one? Yes or no? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Adam.
Okay. So I put sex-related. And actually, in my hyphens, I had like one of my examples because there's obviously a lot of things could go wrong. I have accidentally hang yourself. Let me just read this correctly. Accidentally hang yourself to death while jerking your pecker. Yeah, that's exactly what I have. So I'm not going to go with that argument because obviously Nick's going to go with it, but it is sex related. But just imagine doing something, you know, I think it's not so much the death that would be so terrible in these instances. If you're having sex or you're like jerking off, doing something weird like that, it's the aftermath. Like your family, your friend, whoever finds you, it's like, oh god,
up to it. That's what all this stuff is. So that's why all this stuff is so bad. It's the moments leading up to the point that you black out or don't remember anything anymore. Adam, you said there's lots of different things that could go wrong and you could die during sex. What are some of the other ones? I'm curious.
Okay, let's just say you're having sex. Like some dude, he could have a heart attack and just kill over right on top of some woman. It's not that bad for him. That may be a great way to go, but it's horrific for her, you know. And then especially given the circumstance that you're in bed with this woman, maybe she's your mistress, maybe she's just some random person who just kind of ushers her way out and leaves you there naked. But I mean, in reality, my whole thing was kind of the audio asphyxiation, but that's why it's kind of hard for me to to deny that one. But I would just imagine, you know, if you're doing something sexually related, like, you know, I don't know. I guess it kind of is. My whole thing was hanging yourself, and I know that's kind of what you're going for.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give you the autoerotic asphyxiation. I can come up with a funnier one.
Okay.
So go ahead. Okay. Use that. Make the argument for that.
Okay. So you're a star of a TV show, Kung Fu. You're a legend. People love you. So you're in Thailand, I think. You know, you get tired of doing all these little Asian kids, because that's pretty much what they do over there. You go up into your closet, you know, because you just can't get enough at this point. You get your belt, you strap it around your neck, you rope it up over the hanger, and you're choking yourself out in two ways, if you know what I mean. And you don't have a spotter, which is a real problem. And next thing you know, you get a little bit too into it and your legs kick out. Next thing you know, you're dead, dick in hand with your throat just basically choked off with a belt by your own.
And you had pantyhose on.
And I had he had pantyhose on. Damn.
All right, so let me paint a picture for you. And that was a good one. All right, so you live in the Seattle area, and up there things are a little bit more liberal and relaxed, you know? Maybe not as liberal as you are with certain things. You are attracted to
me?
Yeah, you are attracted to maybe a different species. What I'm saying is you like the horse cock up your asshole. And you decide you got to tell the world about this. So you start making a documentary about this this love affair you have with the horse. Now you go and you visit this horse with a spotter, but the spotter lets the horse go a little too wild. He drives that big horse cock up in that ass just a little too deep.
Jeez.
And you don't die right away. No, you start internally bleeding, have to get rushed to the hospital, tell them how you got into this situation. And then you basically bleed out from the inside of your asshole. That to me would be an even worse way to die than autoerotic asphyxiation.
Huh. He says,
That's I mean, for me as a normal person that would never engage in sex with an animal, I wouldn't even think of something that perverted, Nick. Ever.
Oh,
so what you're saying is
these things.
No, I'm not saying yours is
so-
worse. I'm just saying it's more perverted. I just got some women's panties on. I got a belt around my throat. Maybe a Walmart bag on my face. Nothing too crazy.
You got the lemon in your mouth to bring you back to reality. You're good to go.
Yeah, they do that. I didn't even think about that. It's a smart idea, though.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Let
mean,
me write
hey,
this down.
I mean, I'm sure it's terrifying when you watch that lemon drop to the ground, but you're still feeling good for the most part. To whereas this guy had like hours, at least an hour of excruciating internal pain and bleeding out because he let a horse fuck him in the ass.
Yeah, but he wanted that. He loves it. He loves that pain. He's not doing it for just pleasure.
He didn't like the pain. He liked it. He liked just the tip.
Yeah, like
just the
24-inch dick. Just the tip is 12.
Okay. So hear me out. Bear with me here. My goodness, I'm trying to gather my thoughts. So Adam, originally you went with sex related, which kind of left it wide open. Turns out you narrowed it down to auto asphyxiation. Nick, who originally started with autoerotic asphyxiation and then went to, as I scribbled in my notes, horse dick. That's what I wrote down.
Death by horse dick.
And I can honestly not think of a worse way right now, this moment, to die than the horse dick split me open like a So, Nick, you win this round.
Hell yeah.
You are one month.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a compliment. I'm just so confused by all these thoughts. Also, Nick, you get to introduce the next one. So we completely flopped. This last round went haywire.
Mm-hmm.
Very weird one. But Nick gets the victory on that. Right now we have 2 for Nick, 1 for Adam. Nick, you get to introduce the next one.
All right. So let's see. All right. So I'm going to paint a picture for you.
Oh, my. You painted too big of a picture with lipstick.
So you're at a bar, all right? You're having a good old time. You're drinking some beers, doing some shots. Guy comes up to you. He's like, "Hey, man, looks like you're having fun. I'm going to hang out with you." You're like, "Fuck yeah, you are. Let's hang out." And you guys are fucking bros, shooting pool. And he's like, he starts saying things. It doesn't really on you, but are you like an actor or something? And you're like, "No." And he's like, "Have you ever thought of it? Maybe, whatever. I don't know." He's like, "Hey, like, I'm a photographer. We could go do some headshots." And you're like, "Great." Yeah, you're drunk. Good idea. So you leave with him. And next thing you know, he's like drilling a hole in your head and trying to turn you into a sex slave. And when that doesn't work out, he just chops you up, puts your head in the freezer, makes a stew out of your ass, and keeps your cock as a keepsake. Now, the rest of the parts he dissolves into a plastic barrel. And then everyone thinks you're gay because you left with Jeffrey Dahmer.
I think most of those guys were gay. First off, I would never be in that situation, period, and I'll tell you why. Some random dude comes up to me and says, "Let's hang out." I'm going to be like, "Get the fuck away from me, douche." I don't like people as much as you do, Nick. Let's go take pictures of let me go take pictures of you back at my place. No, like, straight dude's going to say, "Yeah, good idea." That's exactly how I want to spend my Saturday night.
I'm trying to sell the topic.
Yeah, I know. It's funny, though. So for my response, my rebuttal to that one, I I would say another horrific way to die. Did you ever see the movie Kill Bill, where they bury her alive and she's in that like casket or whatever, a wooden crate, and they just throw they basically throw dirt on her. I think buried alive would be horrific. She's down there. They actually gave her a flashlight. And then the flashlight basically, at some point, it's going to burn out, which it does. And then you're in there. Not only is it claustrophobic, but then you're in there in the dark. It's almost like a tease the way they did. But I think even just being buried, not even in anything, just with the dirt on you, just like the pressure of the earth on you, it would be absolutely horrific to be buried alive while you're still conscious. So that would be probably that would maybe actually, I'll pick out all these things so far. Other than the horse stick, I'd say buried alive, maybe the worst one.
Can I tell you a quick story about being buried alive? It didn't happen to me, but this goes back hundreds of years. They used to bury people alive all the time because they would get sick and they would pass out. They'd be drunk on whiskey for days and they wouldn't wake up. So they would bury people alive. So they would bury them with a string in their hand because they realized when they dug people up that they had scratch marks in the coffin, and they realized that they were buried alive. So they buried them with a string in their hand with a little hole out the bottom side of the casket, and would go all the way up into the graveyard, and then there would be somebody sitting up there. And if they woke up, they would grab the hold of the string and pull it, and that was called dead ringer. That's where the term dead ringer comes from. Yeah. And that's also where the phrase or the term the graveyard shift comes from.
Could you imagine being hammered drunk? Just Nick's out there with his boy, his new friend, hammered drunk, instead of waking up as a sex zombie. You wake up in a fucking casket, buried under dirt. Your friend Jeff, you and your buddy Jeff in the same casket.
Here's the thing, though. My buddy Jeff, I'm not going to make it to the casket because, you're getting buried alive. You're at least getting to go in your final rest with all your bits and pieces. My dick's in a refrigerator. My head has been hollowed out. He's frying the brains. He's eating the eyeballs. That's
delicious thing. But the fact is, there's people, he drugged them, they're all loopy, and then they're dead. I'm fully conscious of my surroundings for the entire duration, however long that takes for me to die of claustrophobia, panic, or just a lack of oxygen. Like your guy, yeah, sure, he's chewing on your pecker, but you're well dead at that point. Little fucking appetizer, if you ask me.
Speaking of being esophagus, I have no desire to have a man chewing on my pecker while I die and cutting my head off and putting me in the freezer. I think that this victory on this round goes to Adam, and here's why. Being alive and conscious for the part where you're freaking out, completely freaking out in a coffin before the light, before you get cut off of oxygen, or your anxiety kills you, or you have a heart attack or whatever, that's completely terrifying to me. I don't want to get cut up by a gay man at a bar by any means, but what is way more terrifying to me is being in a dark space alone with no noises going on, knowing that I'm going to die. So, Adam, you win this round.
I agree with your logic.
Well, of course you do. Adam, you also on this next round get to introduce yours first. So let's see. Round one, Nick took with getting eaten by rats. Round two, Adam took with being frozen to death. Round three, Nick took with being fucked by a horse cock. Round four, Adam took with buried alive. And Adam, you get to introduce your next. I got to grab a beer.
Okay.
Wait 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think we're going to have to chip in and buy Quaid a new mic.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. You know, he has the same one I have. Mine sounds all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Were you guys another one while I was gone?
We were talking
not
about
at
being
all.
buried alive.
Yeah. The horrible sound that would be.
Oh, jeez. Don't talk about
Yeah.
it. Can we move on? Can we please move on?
Sure
What do you
can.
got around besides the bloody nose?
So I think another really horrific way to die, and a lot of mine, when I look at my list, they're like slow, agonizing deaths, and I think this one would be really terrible too. Just imagine being shipwrecked and you're out on some little raft and you're adrift at sea, maybe a door like in Titanic, but like I imagine it being very hot. You're exposed to the sun, your body's drying out, you have no water. So essentially you're dehydrating to death, which causes you to be crazy. And you're surrounded by all this water, but you can't drink any of it. And then you just literally, I think you would end up going insane, like from that. And I would imagine most people in that situation probably do go insane just from being trapped out there for so long. So basically, adrift at sea is my next one.
So like Tom Hanks, basically.
Minus the island, yeah.
Okay, but with the volleyball.
But with the volleyball. I'll give you the volleyball.
Okay, I'll see your volleyball and I'll raise you one more. Nick, what do you got?
Well, can't do death by thirst now, can I?
Or can you? If you
well,
could
I mean,
argue, you certainly could.
He's already made the argument for death by thirst.
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
All right, so I'll do. Okay. So I'm going to paint a picture for you.
About time.
Go ahead, Picasso.
So you know you're married, right? You go through the whole I love yous and everything's great, and then like all of a sudden, you know, maybe you got a kid, maybe you got two, and like, you know, things start getting a little stressful around the house, but you're still trying to make things work, and everything's like super great, you think, and then like, you know, you get an idea in your head, like I'm going to start a project, a podcast. Let's just use that as an example. And like, you know, you tell your wife about it and she's like, eh. And then next thing you know, turns into, ugh. And then like the resentment builds. You go to sleep. And then all of a sudden you wake up and she has two hands on the knife and she just drives it into your chest and she just keeps going and going and going. And I mean, it's not a vision that I had or anything like that. Just
Is this something we're gonna have to use for evidence, like down the line in this murder trial?
yeah, I'm not trying to document anything.
Sounds like it to me.
This is horrifying. We should have never done this. We should have done something more lighthearted.
I think it's funny. I mean, I think one of the
His wife is going to kill him?
I mean, it's
not my wife. It's nothing to do with me.
Yeah, I mean, I can't relate. I don't have a wife, so I don't think that's horrific at all.
Okay, so how about this, Adam? Why does it suck worse to be adrift at sea than it does to be stabbed by your wife? Why should you win?
Well, look, the being adrift at sea is going to take like a long time, and you're going to be out there you're going to be drinking your own piss to start. You're going to be like burnt like a crisp. You ever go to the beach and you get a little burnt for a day?
To start? That's where you're going to start? I don't think you drink your piss right off the bat.
Well, you better, because you don't have any extra piss once you lose it. First day, pee right in your mouth. 2 hands. So anyways, so you're out there, you're dry as a desert, you're surrounded by water, but you're burnt like to a crisp, and you're like dying from exposure as well. not just dehydration, but you're being exposed to whatever is going on. And eventually you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to jump in the water, let them sharks that have been swirling around you all this time eat you alive? Or you drink that seawater that sounds so delicious out there and then get super sick and probably fall in the water and get eaten by sharks anyway.
All right. So here's why that's better. Because, like, you could go out like a Viking in that situation. You could just be like, fuck it, man. I'm jumping in. I'm doing this. You just jump in. You go up to the biggest shark and swell up on him and let him take you. You go out like a fucking champion. Yeah, like that's a man's death. You know, like in my situation, it just like you're scared and like you're betrayed. And there's nobody out at sea that betrayed you. It just sucks. You kind of got stuck in a bad situation. You got dealt a bad hand. Now you just got to choose to take matters into your own hand and go find that shark to eat you. Me, you're just like, what happened? I thought you were happy. And then just watching it go in and out and scraping your bones. And you can just hear the scrape and the squishing sound as your blood flies against the walls of the room that, you know, you shared with the person that's doing that to you.
See, personally, I think like you're married. So sounds pretty miserable. I mean, I'm not saying you, but just in general. It might be like it may be worse if she doesn't kill you and just let you live with this going on for the rest of your life. That seems like way more of a punishment than ending it quick with a couple knives.
Marriage is great. This has nothing to do with me. I don't know why you guys got that assumption. It has nothing to do with me.
Oh, but yeah, if I'm out adrift at sea for 15 days and I'm drinking my own piss and going crazy, I think that'd be worse than getting stabbed to death.
You could come to that gives you time to like
Go
square
insane.
up with God and like, hey, I know I did that wrong. But you know, I asked for your forgiveness. Now I'm ready for you to take me. Like me, I'll just wake up in the middle of the night. What? And I get no last rites.
She'd be stabbing in your mouth with probably a dildo. Like usual.
I like that it says nothing to you, and now you're referring to it as I in your story.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a cry for help. It's like Urban Meyer, that assistant coach at Ohio State's wife, crying for help to everyone. No one helped her.
So I would like to welcome you guys to the intervention this week, and we are here. Nick is our friend. He's a very nice man, and he does have some things.
Oh, that's funny.
Is it?
I mean,
yeah, it's hilarious. I'm a happy man.
You look like it.
Yeah, sounds like everything is great.
Fantastic.
So turn the blender on and I put my dick in it.
Oh, yeah. Well, Nick, I can see. I'm not saying Nick's telling the story by himself, but Nick got pretty hammered at the Dolphins game this week. So I'm thinking maybe he's in the doghouse for some behavior, but he hasn't admitted it yet.
This is like some weird backwards thing where he's like confessing to something.
Yeah, like he did something.
Yeah,
it's great.
Hey, Adam, you know how I know Nick's flying? Because this was his response. Oh, no. But there was no actual real words that took place.
Yeah, exactly. No. He's like singing as a lullaby.
Yeah.
Well,
you know, you guys are wrong about a lot. It just, you know, things. I know what I'm talking about. I'm painting a picture for you. I told you I was going to be the artist.
I feel like you're painting a picture on your tombstone. I don't like it, dude.
Found here from you Thursday. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
With all of it.
Yeah, but just think of
Hey,
what a
free to
relief
check in
that
on
will
me,
be.
bro.
Yeah, what a just
If I don't hear from him by Thursday, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete his number from my phone.
not my friend anymore.
Yeah. You are deleted from Earth and from my phone.
Different ways. Fuck you.
Yeah, I think it would be more miserable of a death to live for the next 50 years than with that, you know? She's doing you a service.
I don't disagree with that. Let me ask you this. So, one of these things is something that everybody's thought about. The other one is something that only many people have thought about. How long does it take before you want to die if you're adrift at sea?
4 years.
No, stop it. Compared to how long does it take before you want to die being stabbed by your wife? Nick, you go first.
4 years.
For both?
Oh, what?
What are you, Nick? Like,
About 4 years in. No, as far as being out at sea, I would man up right away and I would jump right into that ocean. I'd look for that biggest shark and come eat me, bro.
you'd be like
Come
100
at me.
yards off of the. You'd be on your boogie
Yeah.
board 100 yards off of the beach and just jump
I'd
out
be able
and
to see-
drown.
You
I'd
would
be able
not.
to see my wife waving me in. Now come back.
You would sooner be sitting in a raft, shitting yourself and rolling in it. Adam,
Yes, I kid.
Yes, yeah, I think. I think if you're out at sea, I mean, I've seen there was one guy documented. He was out there for like 30 days, but I think he was in a little bit bigger boat, like a ding, he had a little bit of water, not a lot, but he had a little bit. But if you're just out in one of those little yellow rescue rafts with no water, no food, I mean, I know those people do survive. They seem to be able to survive 7-10 days, which is crazy, but they are like, if they're lucky enough to be found, I mean, they are thirsty. All they've been drinking is their own piss for like that entire time.
And so my question is this. My question is not how long could you survive. My question is how long before you want to have that death happen.
Well, the question is, you have to ask yourself, are you a fighter? If you're a fighter, you're going to stay alive. No, you don't want the death to ever happen. So eventually, okay, what I've heard from these situations where there's two people and people like go delirious and nuts from the sun and not having water, like the people said, like the other person just went crazy and they were flipping out and then they just jumped, like they weren't making any sense. They're basically out of their minds and they just jumped in the water and just disappeared, just like drowned themselves basically. So I don't know, however long it takes you to go insane, I guess. So some people are tougher than others.
Okay, next question. Same round. We're not moving on, but here's one more question. Who do you think would survive longer on a raft by themselves? Here's your options. Nick or Adam? Adam, you get to go. Who do you think would survive longer adrift at sea and why?
Okay, I'll give you a little bit of a scenario. So I live alone, always have. So I'm used to being alone. I can handle it. But for Nick, in his case, this would almost be like a vacation. So he may be able to last longer than me. He could get away and be like free. He would like, it'd be like a sailing trip for him, whereas it would be like survival for me. So probably Nick.
Okay, so Adam.
Bo come up and be going, no, I'm good. Turn around.
Yeah. You look like Tom Hanks and Castaway.
Yeah. I was going to say I was going to say Adam because I think I would search out my shark sooner. But actually, Adam kind of convinced me on that one. Vacation does sound nice. Wait, here's the question. Do I get cell service?
No, of course not. If you get cell service, you would call for help. They'd triangulate your position.
Would I?
Great question, Nick.
Would you?
Keep you around.
So what would you need a cell phone for if you're not calling for help?
Like text you guys. It's fuck out of here. Look at Instagram memes and shit like that.
Check out this tan. You're burnt like your hat. Red as a tomato.
I can look at Instagram memes with my volume all the way up and not have to worry about anybody offending, or offending
true.
anybody.
That's true.
It'd be great. Yeah. You know what? Stranded out at sea should not even be on the list because it doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah, if you're burnt as red as the bill on your cap, Nick, you'll be miserable.
We can all agree that being adrift at sea is one of the top 10 worst and also top 10 best ways to die. So Adam wins this round and the whole evening.
Oh, fuck. That's funny, though. Nick, what other pictures were you going to paint with your list? What else did you have on your list? I wrote some of them down, but...
Yeah, I had
what other pictures? And it was just like, what were you going to paint? And yeah, I don't think we've got there yet.
I was gonna do car crash on your way home from work because I'm not gonna lie. There have been times driving into work where I'm like, oh man, it wouldn't be horrible if I hit black ice right now and just veered into a tree.
Black ice.
That's awesome.
Black ice is a hooker down here.
Oh shit.
So yeah, I mean, but like on the way home, you're like, dude, how bad would it suck? You just got done working your ass off, and like, especially if you have a really miserable job, you just got through the part of doing all the miserable shit, and you're about to have a few hours to yourself, and then a couple hours of sleeping, which is also enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna, if you weigh the car crash time before work is drastically better than after work.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I also had the heart attack. Yeah. I also had the heart attack right after winning the lottery. I think that's pretty obvious. I think that's something we all thought about too. Like, oh, how bad would it suck? You win the lotto and then you just drop dead.
Yeah, then your wife gets all that money. She's so happy for the rest of her life.
And then the spike ball, because that just looks like the worst weapon to die from. That's on the chain that they swing around. And you just imagine that giant, probably like 50-pound ball of iron with spikes on it just coming right for your head.
Ugh. Yeah, I think Braveheart had one, but he had it on a stick. Remember, like a nunchuck, but the other side of it was like that ball.
What else did you have on your list?
I had mauled by a bear, which would be pretty horrific. You ever see that guy? He posted a video of himself. Like, he got mauled by a bear, and then he lived, and like, I don't know what he did. He like walked out a couple of miles. I mean, his like head is like, they like chew on your head. His like face was like hanging down. His ear was hanging off. That would be pretty terrible because they'll just chew on you. They're eating you. They know. I mean, you're alive still when they're eating you. You ever see whenever animals just in general eat each other, like on the wildlife channels, they start like with your most vital organs, like your eyeballs, your ass. They're like Jeffrey Dahmer. They eat your pecker right off. They'll go right. Those hyenas go right in your asshole. They stick their heads right in the asshole.
Your eyeballs and your ass. Those are your two.
Those are my two. Those are my red light zones. Those are my red light zones. Nothing goes there.
Yeah.
What about
What about what?
What's that?
What about your ears, man?
Oh yeah. Well, that was another one that you ever. I think it was the book The Jungle. Whenever they're like, I think that's which book it was, where basically it's about Chicago and how cold it was back in like the day, and these kids would be walking, and then when they got to their moms, their ears, they would grab their like kids because their ears would be purple, and when they grabbed them, their ears would fall off, like T-1000, the liquid metal.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's disgusting. But like, yeah, ears would be terrible too. But I think for being cold, I'd rather have someone chop my ears off than poke me in the eye like with a stick, by far.
Yeah.
I'd rather have them chop both my ears off. So, but yeah, mauled by bears, that'd be terrible. They're chewing on you. But that's a lot like any creature, but a bear is just so strong. I have okay. Another scenario I had was, say you're on the hunt for Red October. You're in your submarine. You're down the bottom of the ocean. Something happens, and like the sub loses pressure, and you're like bottom of the sea, and all of a sudden, all that pressure, like that would have to like crush your body. You'd have to like almost implode from all that.
Yeah, bad way to go.
That would be bad. I don't know who would ever want to be in a submarine. Just thinking about that makes me claustrophobic. I had dragged to death by a car or a horse, whatever, because they've done that to people. That's pretty awful, especially on a road. I always said, like, you just imagine riding a motorcycle, you wreck, and whenever you do it, you always lay down. It's like a meat grinder on you. But just imagine being tied there. That would be terrible. So
That would.
And then I had cancer. The reason I had cancer was because I just watched the movie 50-50. And it's true. Like, obviously you can beat cancer in a lot of scenarios, but let's say you couldn't. And knowing, maybe it would be one of those things where you could finally like do the things that you want to do, and not do the things you want to do, but like tell people how you feel, and maybe it puts life into perspective. But I think for me, knowing that I would, it was like inevitable, like, and thinking about that, it's a lot like when you're buried alive and you're like, oh my God, I'm panicking. Like, you would be panicking even longer.
Right.
So maybe I would just be like have a freak out about everything. But I just feel like that would be a tough way. That would be a bad way to go. Not to mention it can be painful too. So, and then I had an avalanche, which is a lot like buried alive. You're skiing down the slopes. All of a sudden you have like 100 feet of snow, push you down the hill and cover you up. And I think most of those people die of basically no oxygen. So that's my list. A lot of weird shit on there.
Yeah.
It should have been the list.
Oh, go ahead.
Was getting stoned to death. That would be awful.
It would, especially if they used like kind of small stones.
Yeah.
They would like really beat you up with them instead of just like big stones.
It took like a couple weeks.
Yeah. You got guys like Nolan Ryan and fucking Roger Clemens throwing like quarter-sized rocks at you for a couple days.
Now, like 2-week process. That would be awful. That's got to be number one worst way to die right there.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
Yeah.
Like they bring in the heavy hitters like once a day. They throw them at 6 o'clock p.m. sharp. They throw them really fast. The rest of them are just kind of sort of.
Yeah, just bruising you up. Well, I looked up, because I always Google search this shit, and just to give you ideas. But there was like a list of 150, and it was voted on by people, like submitted by people and then voted on. And I think and this kind of goes back to last week's debate. I think like 48 or 121. I can't remember, one of those two. It's weird. Those are the two numbers. It was basically having to listen to Nickelback until you die. So Nick's favorite band.
Yeah, that basically you do that if you work in rock radio.
No, that would drive me completely insane. I think working for one particular genre of music.
Here's the good news for both of you. You're both completely insane, clearly, from what we talked about, so you don't have to worry about that.
You think it's crazy now? Wait till we get into October.
Yeah.
I'm already getting excited about those topics.
Ooh, Halloween.
Because, we got to celebrate Halloween, right? I'm thinking best serial killers, best horror movies.
You think of it, we'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm like best ice cream flavors.
Ice cream.
Oh, yeah. Opposite of what you two fucks are thinking.
Kind of weirdo are you?
All right, we're going to wrap it up tonight, boys and girls. We have the winner of Adam tonight. Here's your top 5 for the night. We got round 1 went to with getting eaten by rats. Adam won round 2 with being frozen to death. Round 3 went to Nick with getting fucked by a horse dick. And the next round went to Adam by being buried alive. And the final round again went to Adam by being put adrift to sea and having to drink your own piss and enjoying it. Please look us up on all your favorite sites. We'll be back next week. Come check us out on our website, Facebook. We'll be there. Master Debate with Quaid. I'm Quaid. I'm out.